Hello everybody. Just want to give everybody a chance to get on. Of course, I apologize, I'm running just a little bit late, but I'm here. You can never really time anything when you have a baby now. So I had to wait for my mom to come over and kind of help me out with him so I could do this video. So I'm just going to wait a few minutes just to kind of let everybody that want to join and listen in get on. So I will go ahead and start. So for those of you that don't, you may not know me, I just wanted to make a quick introduction on who I am and what I do and all those things. I may have some new people that are following me. I may have some new friends. So I just wanted to just take a quick second to just introduce myself. So my name is Fallon Bonner, and I am a diamond coach with Team Beachbody. And so what I wanted to do was just get on here and just kind of give my testimony briefly about how I came across the opportunity, what led me to it, and then I want to share with you guys the topic of this live broadcast, which is how to believe God in your business. So maybe about a couple years ago, God laid it on my heart. I was a clinical neurophysiologist, so I was making great money. I was making close to 6 figures, and I was doing really well. And honestly, at that point, I kind of almost felt like, okay, I was comfortable. I felt like I was really close to making the money that I wanted to make. And honestly, I knew that if I worked a little harder, I could get to 6 figures. I just was really comfortable with what I was making, so I wasn't really pushed to do anything more. So God laid it on my heart to hello, everybody's kind of speaking. I just wanted to stop and speak. God laid it on my heart to start a fitness business. And honestly, I was... to say the least, I was just kind of like, this cannot be God. This has to be the devil, and I just need him to kind of go. So I just kind of pushed it to the back of my mind, and I just decided that, I wasn't going to even really try to think about it anymore. But of course, you know how God is. When he's leading you to do something, he'll keep, kind of bringing it up in your mind. That's how I knew it was God leading me to do it. So I went to my husband, and I just told him really quickly. I was like, hey, I feel like God is leading me to open up a fitness business. And he laughed and he said, so what, you're gonna open up a fitness business and then do what? He was like, how in the world are you going to make the money that you're making right now, and even the hours? I had great hours too. He said, how are you gonna make that kind of money as a personal trainer? And I just told him that I believe that if God is calling me to do this, then the provisions have already been made, and that he's gonna increase my business, right? So I was just like, it's gonna be great, and he was just kind of like, no, you're not gonna be a personal trainer, you're not gonna do it, kind of thing. So I said, okay. I remember talking to one of my friends, Octavia, and I was just kind of like really distraught and didn't really understand how I needed to proceed on the matter, because I knew that God was leading me to do this. And she said, well, you just pray that God will basically speak to him. You don't badger him about it. Don't try to force him to, be in agreement with you. Just believe God that he'll reveal it to him. So I took that advice and I prayed and I went to God and I said, okay, God, if you lead me to do this, then make it clear and reveal it to my husband as well. And so one day I was at work and I went to my boss and I told him, I said, hey, I just want to chat with you for a minute. I said, I want to go contract. I was just kind of trying to find a way to ease out without just quitting, because, of course, when God tell you to do something like that and he pushed you, fear instantly came up. Fear came up and I did not want to leave, And so I said, well, let me, how we do sometimes. We try to help God out. I was like, let me just do it this way instead of doing what he told me to do. So I went to my boss and I said, hey, I would like to go contract. Contract is basically where you can pretty much make your own schedule and things like that. So I felt like if he was leading me to do the personal training, I could literally work it around my schedule if I was making my own schedule. And so he said, well, Fallon, let's just first let me, if you'll stay here a little longer, let me get people on and I want you to train them for me. He was like, and after that, then, sure, we can go to contract. So of course it wasn't the answer I was looking for. And I was really, was like, okay, what am I going to do? And so of course, guys, like, I didn't tell you to do that anyway. So I remember walking back to my seat and having a seat like in front of my computer and just thinking, okay, now what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to do this? And so I remember sitting down and God spoke to me so clear. He said, you're going to have to quit. And I was like, man, the devil is really on me today. Like, what is going on? Like, why is he on me like this? Like, I quit my job? Like, who does that? Who just quit their job and just go and do, like, personal training, especially when you have no experience? you don't know anything about it. Like, how do you do that? But the great thing about God and how awesome he is, when he calls you to do something, he qualifies you. So you don't have to have any certification and qualification, all those things. He will qualify you. But of course, I thought it was the devil. So I was just kind of like, yeah, right. I'm not going to do that. So I remember maybe 2 weeks after that, I didn't even mention it to Nikki because he had already like pretty much told me it was a no-go. So I remember one day I was coming in. I came in from work and he said, hey, let me talk to you for a minute. I remember him turning off the TV and I took a seat and I said, what's up? And he said, hey, I just want to let you know that, God spoke to me and he told me that you're going to have to quit your job. And I was just like, what? I was like, God, you're so amazing. I said, well, that is confirmation because he told me a couple weeks ago, but I had, I didn't want to tell you because I knew that you were not going to go for it. And he was like, yeah, he said, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't see it at first. And he said, I still don't see it, but we believe God. And if he's calling us to do something, then, we're going to be obedient and we're going to do it. He said, so let's set a plan in place and go ahead and get your exit strategy together so you can leave. And so I think within a month or two, it was quick. I left my job. I quit. And I just remember almost having this sick feeling like, okay, now what? What am I supposed to do now? I quit my job. And so Nikki was like, you go and start doing training, and God, he started setting it up where people started reaching out to me. Literally, he like already, all the provisions were made. He had all these people reaching out to me. So I had clients, literally, I had clients before I even left, to be honest with you, that I was kind of working and training around my schedule. And so I went ahead and he said, so now, go ahead and do your advertising. So I remember him, hiring a consulting firm to do my website and do my marketing. And he basically spent thousands. He invested thousands of dollars because he said, if God's leading you to do this, then we're going to believe him for the increase. So he wasn't shy at all when it came to, the amount of money that he sold into my business. Literally whatever I needed, he did it. And so that was a boost, just because I was really fearful, but having his support meant, everything to me. And then the fact that he went a step above that and, just really sold, really just did everything that I needed, like spent all the money to get me up and running. And so I remember maybe it was probably about 3 months in, I remember thinking, okay, Nikki, I don't think I heard God right. Like, where are the clients? I don't think he really told me to do this. I'm like, I have a few clients here and there, but they're not really paying me what I'm worth. And he was like, oh yeah, and that's another thing. You need to charge them higher anyway, because that's not even worth your time. You train them for the amount you're training them. And so I remember thinking, well, they're gonna leave. I feel like you're fighting against me. So I prayed about it. I increased my rate like just a little bit. It wasn't much at all. And they quit. They left. So like within a span of like 2 weeks, all of my clients left. Of course, I was just, I was floored. I was like, oh my gosh, I knew I shouldn't have listened to Nikki. I know he didn't know what he was talking about. Why did I listen to him? And he was like, nope. Now watch God bring the people who's supposed to be there. And he did. Like literally the overflow came in as far as with clients that were willing to pay, my rate. So I'm going to speed this up just a little bit. So after that, it still just wasn't as successful as I thought it should be, right? So I said, okay, I'm just gonna quit doing this. Like, this is not worth, the time, the energy of doing this. I just really felt like people just weren't really, holding up to the end of the deal. And so I didn't see the success. I'll be honest with you. So I instantly thought that God didn't call me to do it, which was, completely not true. But I set up an exit strategy in my mind because I had already told Nikki that, he could kind of tell that I wasn't feeling it and that I had decided to quit. But after so long, he was coming home because he had purchased me a cell phone for the business. And he kept saying, are you going to use the business? Are you going to use this phone? And I was like, dude, stop asking me about the cell phone. Turn it off. Do whatever you need to do. I'm over it. But, I just decided that he didn't understand, right? I was like, he don't get it. His business is successful, so he don't understand how it feels to have a business that's not, successful. So, I'll just trust God that he'll let him know, how I'm feeling, kind of thing. And I remember taking my cell phone and literally pushing it to the back of the drawer, so he couldn't even ask me about it. So if it was out of sight, out of mind, I felt like he couldn't ask me about it. And he was just. He said he knew what was going on, but he was just trusting God with me. So I remember when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, perfect. now I can quit. Like, this is my exit. And no, clearly he's not going to have me out there wobbling around trying to train people pregnant. So I was like, this is awesome. I could quit, right? And he was just kind of like, no, you can still train people. You could have a fit pregnancy and all this different stuff. And I was just like, this guy will just not let this up. But I'm grateful for Nikki, because he saw something in me, and he saw the vision that God had given me before I even saw it myself, honestly. And so I remember right after I had Nicholas, because I kind of wasn't really training many people. I just wasn't motivated. If somebody asked me, I'll train them, but I wasn't trying to generate any new business. I was honestly on my way out. And so I remember that towards the end of that year, after I had Nicholas in August of the next year. I ended up having him, and I remember, in my mind, I was thinking that I was going to go back to work in January. So it was towards the end of the year. I was 6 weeks postpartum, so it was time for me to start back working out. So I was like, great, I can put him in daycare. I can go back to work. And I knew my boss was, I knew he would welcome me with open arms. So I was just like, it's just a matter of me just figuring out a way to tell Nikki, right, that I'm going back to work. And so I was scrolling through Instagram one day, and I came across the Beachbody coaching opportunity. And I saw what everybody was kind of talking about and saying about the opportunity. And so I honestly didn't really know if it was for me, but it seemed really interesting, because it was very easy to just, coach people. It was something I'm passionate about, health and fitness. You didn't have to have any certification. You didn't really have to do much, but just share your fitness journey. I'm like, well, I share things by nature anyway, so let me look into it. But before I did that, I kind of just briefly mentioned it to Nikki. I was like, we did Insanity, and I was like, you remember the girl asked us about being a coach? We did Insanity because we had an amazing Insanity transformation, and we didn't really when she asked us about being coaching, we didn't understand what the coaching opportunity was, and we weren't really interested, because we felt like, oh, well, we're sharing anyway. We didn't really understand the whole coaching thing. So we were like, no, we're good, but thanks for the offer, kind of thing. And so I said, remember we did Insanity? I was like, remember the girl asked us about doing coaching or whatever? I was like, what would you think if I decided to be a coach? She was like, why wouldn't you? And I was just blown away. I'm like, what? So that was, to me, that was a go. That was yes. So I remember reaching out to Melissa, who is my upline, and I came across one of her posts, and her post said something like, are you a fitness professional who's tired of making chump change? And, she talked about how she had built a 7-figure income, basically from the comfort of her home, from her cell phone, and how she had built a legacy for her kids and retired her husband. Who wouldn't want that? I was like, sign me up. I didn't even know how much it cost. I didn't even care at that point. I was like, sign me up. And so, but it was amazing. Like, I spoke to her. She wasn't pushy. She wasn't trying to push anything on me. She simply just shared the opportunity and told me how it was just a smart way to work as a fitness professional, even if you're not into fitness and you just want to generate some extra income. She was like, it's just a smart way to do it where you don't have to leave your home. And for me at the time, that was ideal, because I did desire to be a stay-at-home mom, but I also wanted to contribute to my household. So, I didn't want to just, be a stay-at-home mom only. I still wanted a successful business. So, and that's how I ended up doing coaching. So just briefly, I prayed about it, Nikki, and I prayed about it. God gave us peace for me to sign up. I signed up. Within my first, couple weeks, I made a post. I had close to 100 people reach out to me, offering to help them, on their fitness journey. I was, trying to get my baby weight off, and I remember putting up a post and offering to help other women go through the program with me. And I had close to 100 women reach out to me, and out of that, 39 of them signed up my very first month. So my very first challenge group, I had 39 people in my group. And I was just like, nobody but God can do this. Like, how amazing is this, to have such an overwhelming response? But I'll be honest with you, I had no idea that was considered a big group. Beachbody considers like 5 people a big group. My groups are really, really large, and that's all the grace of God. So my first 8 days, I made $1,000. And Nikki and I started looking at this thing like, wait a minute. That's when he started paying attention, like this may really be something that you can really, have and actually have a successful business doing it. So, and so that's my story. That's how I started out with Beachbody Coaching. It has been an amazing opportunity. It's just, it's so easy to do it. All you do is share your fitness journey. So I remember Melissa telling me, all you have to do is just purchase, a challenge pack, and you get to become a coach for free. And it was $140. I invested $140, and I became a coach. Like, literally, as soon as I hit submit, they said, welcome, you're a new Beachbody coach. And I'm thinking, okay, now what? Kind of thing. But it was nothing. I didn't have to pay any extra money. It was the best $140 I have ever ever spent, because I had been down the road, remember, of spending the thousands of dollars doing all this stuff in self-effort, not trusting God, trying to do what I saw everybody else doing that was into fitness, not following his lead, simply in self-effort, and it was not fruitful. My business was not successful. So I spent $140. Beachbody gave me a website. Like, everything that I needed was just provided to me as soon as I hit submit. So it was absolutely a smart business move. So that was, for me, that's my story. That's what led me to Beachbody. That's why I decided to become a coach, because it's just simply sharing your journey. I love sharing. I love working from home so I can be at home with Nicholas. And now my goal is to give Nikki the option to work if he wants to work, because he's giving me that same option, and I'm grateful that I don't have to work. I work because I want to work. So I want to give him that same option. God has blessed us tremendously to where, he's been the sole provider for the family. So now on to, the topic of this call. Of this live broadcast. So what, of course, Satan, he's going to come whenever anything is going on in your business, especially when God has called you and you're walking in your purpose. You're going to be met with opposition. So what happened maybe about a couple of weeks ago, I had, over a span of like 2 weeks, coaches were quitting. I'm talking about at an alarming rate. And I would check my email and somebody would quit. And to the point where people were quitting before they even really got started. I had somebody quit before she literally even did one thing. She quit. I had somebody else quit, right in the middle of training. So I was just, of course, I started looking at myself, wondering, was I not providing enough tools? Self-effort again, wondering, me. Was it something I wasn't doing? And so I remember looking at all the messages and just thinking, oh my gosh, like, what am I supposed to do? And I remember God just making it so clear to me: lean not into your own understanding, and all thy ways acknowledge me, and I'll direct your paths. And I'm like, okay, God, I trust you. He was like, just trust me. And so I'm like, I don't understand what's going on right now. He was like, it's not for you to understand. Just trust me. So I said, okay. So I remember, when I'm going to be honest with you, when I first started seeing the messages, murmuring and complaining was the first thing that came up, and I wanted to complain. I wanted to, be frustrated. I wanted to just go off and just kind of be like, what is going on? I wanted to just have a pity party, to be honest with you. And I'm so grateful that our pastor has taught us to exercise the vocabulary of silence. He was like, if you open your mouth and you say something that's not in line with the word, he was like, if you open your mouth and say something, make sure that it's in line with the word. If you're gonna say something and it's not in line with the word, do not say it. How many of you guys know that was so hard? It was so hard to just keep looking at those emails. And so I said, okay, I'm just going to say what's in line with the word. So I remember saying, God, I thank you for the overflow of coaches that's coming in. You're just making room for more. God, I thank you. And even though I was saying that, sometimes I would have tears in my eyes. I'd be frustrated, and I would just continue to say it. So not only was that happening, then I go into my back office one day, Tuesday to be exact, and I was a 1-star qualified, meaning that I was getting ready to have a promotion, and I was about to advance in rank. And on Tuesday, I went into my office. I was on my 6th week. They make you wait 6 weeks before you promote to the next rank. And I was literally on the 6th week. We promote on Thursdays. It was Tuesday. I looked at my office and I found out that I was not going to rank advance. One of my coaches had dropped rank. Oh my gosh. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I remember just sitting there looking at it and like fighting back. I was like, you know what? Nope, I'm saying something this time. Nope. I can't hold it. Now that's just wrong. I'm thinking that is just wrong. So I said, well, let me call Nikki. So I remember calling Nikki and saying, can you believe what happened? And so I told him. He was like, okay, just trust God. And I was like, is something wrong with him? Did he not just hear what I just said? He was like, babe, just trust God. He got you. And so I remember saying, okay, I'm going to do this thing the pastor taught us to do, and I'm just going to pray for the best. I said, okay, God, I trust you. I don't understand why that happened. I came so close. I don't think it's anything I did, she did. I just don't even understand what's going on. And God said, he told me again, lean not into your own understanding. Trust me in all your ways, acknowledge me in all your ways, and I'll direct your paths. And I said, okay, God, I trust you. So I had all these different things going on, in the business. And I'm just kind of like, how in the world am I supposed to get to my number one spot that I'm believing for if all this stuff is going on, And so I remember Mark 11:23 talks about, you can have whatever you say. So let me back up just a bit and tell you guys, God reminded me, he said, what were you saying when you first started the business? When I first opened up, my coach account, and I signed up to become a coach, I immediately set up a team page, right? I did that. Like, God was leading me to do all this stuff. I set up a team page, even though, you know, Melissa had her team page. I set up my own team page when I only had maybe at the most 5 to 8 coaches, and most of them were family, you know, my husband, a couple people that just kind of wanted for the Shakeology discount, things like that. Like, nobody that really wanted to work the business for real, other than me. And I remember, you know, when you sign up, when you make a Facebook group, it asks you, you know, would you like to create a description or write a description for the group? So I remember writing in the description, welcome, you've just joined the fastest growing team in Beachbody. Blah, 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 some other stuff I put on there. And God was like, you remember, you know, when people were joining, you were just kind of welcome into the group saying, welcome, you've just joined the fastest growing team in Beachbody. And that was my confession. Like, I will always say, I have one of the fastest growing teams in Beachbody. Even when in the natural, nothing in the natural lined up with that. I was a brand new coach. I only had like 8 coaches, and none of them really were workers, you know, that really wanted to work the business with me. And so I just kept saying, I have the fastest growing team in Beachbody. I was in my group, pumped up, talking like I had I had all the coaches I have now. I mean, you literally would have thought I had all these coaches in the group. I was in there sharing and just being a leader, even before, because I was believing God that they would come. You know, and so I'm like, if it's already done, then I'm going to act like it's already done. So I just began to rejoice and do the exact same thing that I would do, you know, with the coaches that I have now. Literally everything. The ones that were there in the beginning, my sister, she can definitely tell you. It's funny. We look back now, it's like, oh my gosh, like you were doing all, I mean, I have not let up. I do the exact same things I did when I first started my page, my team page, and nobody really even commented on my post because nobody cared. You know, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, you know, but God is just so amazing. So on to the point of this call. So God reminded me of that, right? You know, so start speaking what you want to see, just like you did before, and you're gonna have what you're saying. Remember, I kept saying it. I didn't just say it one time. I always said that I have one of the fastest growing teams in Beachbody. And as a result of that, by the grace of God, I do. I literally have one of the fastest growing teams in Beachbody. And so, fast forward, I'm having all those feelings, right? You know, the coaches are quitting. You know, I didn't get the promotion I was expecting. And then I remember God said, you know, turn your, you know, just praise. Just start praising and worshiping. I just say, you know what? I'm just going to be thankful for the small things. So I went into the Holy Spirit said, go in your back office. Look at your downline coaches. It's like, you have 209 coaches in your downline. That's something to praise about. That's something to be excited about. You've only been a coach for 6 months. Do you understand how amazing that is? That's not you. That's God. So I just remember saying, God, I thank you. I praise you. I remember just praising him and thanking him for my, you know, for me having so many coaches in my downline in such a short amount of time, which I know I couldn't have done it. It's all my amazing coaches that are sharing the opportunity, that are building their teams. You know, out of the 209, only 61 of them are my personally sponsored coaches. So I'm like, God, you are so amazing. So I just remember just, you know, praising, worshiping, just thanking him for everything that he's done. Okay, sorry, I think I lost signal a little bit, but just thanking him, you know, for what he had done in my business thus far, right? And so as a result of that, I remember I was washing dishes yesterday and I heard my phone go off and I was like, I'll just check it. It's probably just Nikki. You know, I'll just check it in a minute. And I remember I took my time and when I walked over to my phone to check it, it was Melissa. And she was like, girl, oh my gosh, Fallon, the rank advancements came out. And she was like, not only, she said, you're number 43 out of the entire network. She's like, I know that you're too young in the business. You're too new of a coach. You've only been in the business 7 months at this point. And she's like, I know you don't understand just how amazing that is. She's like, but you're doing a phenomenal job. And she was just like, let me know if there's anything I could do to help you. I'm here to help you. And I was just like, wait a minute. I remember when we were 48. I'm like, we moved up 5 spots. Now, mind you, we moved up 5 spots to number 43 when coaches were quitting. You know, coaches were quitting. I didn't get the promotion that I was looking for. I didn't rank advanced when I thought I would rank advanced. And yet God still promoted me and still accelerated and still increased my business, you know, to basically out of the entire network, which is completely amazing. So, you know, when God calls you to do something, just know that he's going to see it through to the end. He didn't have me sign up to be a coach for me to not be successful. I know he called me to do this. This is what he has literally purposed me to do. So he was just kind of like, you just got to trust me. So even though distractions and things like that may come up in your business or even in your life, I just want to encourage you to just stay the course and watch your mouth. Close your mouth and don't say anything. Don't call up your girlfriend. Don't call up for me, I call my mom about everything. Don't call up your mom. Don't complain. Don't murmur. Don't complain about anything. Just say, God, I trust you. God, I trust you. And continue to speak what you want to see until you see it. That can apply to anything. Literally, the promotion that you may be believing for on your job, anything in your life that you believe in God for. Do not speak what you're seeing, which is sometimes the most hardest thing. It's so hard to just not speak what you see, because it's right there in front of you. It's like it's in the natural, and you're kind of like, man, I want to complain about this. This is what's going on. But really and truly, what God says is the truth, not what you see. What God said, he has the final say in everything. So his word will never, ever return void. So long as you believe that, you receive that, you will have what you are saying. I promise you, I am a living witness. When I was personal training and my business was not successful, all I did was complain. All I did was murmur about how everybody else was doing this, and nobody would mentor me, and nobody would help me. And as a result, I was having what I was saying. When people would quit, I will be complaining about it instead of just saying, God, I trust you. That you're just making room for the overflow. And that's exactly what he's doing in my business. He's literally providing. So it doesn't matter that people may quit your team if you're, in network marketing. It doesn't matter if you didn't get the promotion on your job, if you're working a corporate job. It doesn't matter. God said, when God says yes, nobody can say no. So whatever he's called you to do, I'm telling you, and I know God has called me to be the top of Beachbody. Not in the middle, not at the bottom. I know emphatically, without a shadow of a doubt, that he has called me to be at the top. So and I know what the reason is. It's not for me. It's for him to get the glory. For me to share with people and show them that God did this. Because he know, if once he get me to my number one spot, I'm telling you, I'll be shouting from the rooftop, look at what the Lord has done. It's nothing I can even begin to even fathom doing. He's going to get all the praise, all the glory, and all the honor. So he may be wanting to use you in your life. Let him use you. Share with people. I tell God all the time, your praise will continuously be in my mouth. He has been too good to me for me to, it's so funny for me not to just praise him and give him all the glory and all the thanks. I was thinking the other day in my prayer time, I'm like, man, God, you're so amazing. You shed your blood. You sent your son, your only begotten son. I have a son. And I'm like, man, you sent him, to shed his blood for me. And I'm like, the least I can do is serve you. The least I can do is be obedient to what you have called me to do. That's the least I can do. So, God loves you. He loves us so much that he literally sent his son for us. So I just want to encourage you, no matter what you're going through, the enemy, just know, that's why I made that post about the war room, guys. It is real. It's a spiritual war. Don't get mad with your cousin, your friend, your auntie. Don't get mad with anybody like that. It's not them. It's the spirit behind it. It's Satan. I'm telling you. It's him trying to come in and literally, he's taking a peek. And I know people probably say this all the time, but it's the truth. He's taking a peek into your future. And he don't want you to get what God has already prepared for you. It's a finished work. Jesus shed his blood. When he said it was done, it's done. All you got to do is believe for it. That's why my team, our motto is Mark 9:23. All things are possible to them that believe. He didn't say some things, a few things. You got to be from this family, to believe. He said all things are possible to them that believe. Now, for me to be ranked in the top 50 out of 450,000 coaches in 7 months, it's only because I believed it. I believed it from the day I signed up with Melissa. I said, she's a millionaire. I can be a millionaire too. God is not a respecter of person. I promise you guys, when I signed up, success was the only thing that I saw. Because I was trusting God to do it, not me. I knew, I saw where it got, I saw where I had gotten, trusting my own self-efforts. Nowhere. So I said, God, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do it your way. So I literally pray over my business. I pray over every post. I pray over everything that he is the head of my business. I don't do anything without him saying, okay, Fallon, do this. All right, now do that. Like literally he lead and guide me on strategically everything that I need to do, because he promised us that. He said that if any man lacks wisdom, to ask him, and he gives it freely without reproach. So I said, God, you promised me that you'll give me wisdom. So I believe I have wisdom today on exactly what you want me to do in my business. And every single day, he gives me wisdom on exactly what he wants me to do. So I just wanted to tell you guys, I'm not going to hold you, too much longer. I just want to encourage you to just speak what you want to see. I promise you, trust God. No matter what you may see right now in your life, open your mouth and speak what you want to see, and watch that very thing that you're believing for, the thing that you're saying, is going to manifest, and it's not going to take long. This is the year of acceleration. God is doing some amazing things, and he's looking for some people that's willing to believe for it. So if you're willing to believe for it, then you can have it. So I pray you guys have an amazing Friday. I'm going to go ahead and end this call because I'll be talking forever, especially when it comes to talking about God and what he's done and how good he has been to me and my family. But I pray you guys have an amazing Friday, and I'll see you on the next live broadcast.